can't start till 8:30.
I was going to say, we got a few seconds to go.
Yes.
And a buzzer goes
20.
off.
The microphones go off.
Uh-oh.
Did he have it on? He quit. That guy quit.
Oh.
He quit. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That guy over there that was doing the music and the videos and stuff, he quit.
Good morning, everyone. I see that it is 8:30. Welcome to the Board of Adjustment. We're so very glad that you could be with us today, and we look forward to hearing your particular cases. This meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustment for June the 12th, 2024 is hereby called to order with 5 members present, and we do have a quorum. Will the clerk please swear in members of the staff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Members of the Board of Adjustment, copies of the staff's resumes have previously been provided and remain on file for reference. The board has previously recognized staff as expert witnesses. Does anyone have any questions regarding their qualifications and abilities to offer this expert testimony? The BOA meeting package for June the 12th, 2024, with the Development Services staff findings of fact has previously been provided to board members. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence. Do I have a motion?
I so move. I move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All members in favor of this motion, please raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
Did the publication meet all the legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
The chair will now entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement. Do I have a motion?
I so move. Oops. Sorry.
Is yours working? Press it. Well, we do have a motion. Do we have the second?
Second.
We do have the second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Please let the record reflect that this motion passes unanimously. Members of the Board of Adjustment, have you reviewed the resume and transcript for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on May the 15th, 2024? Upon your review of the resume and the transcript, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, the chair will now entertain a motion regarding the hearing resume for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on May 15, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The record shall reflect that this motion passed unanimously. We now come to the purpose of the Board of Adjustment and the conduct of this meeting, and our Vice Chairman will explain the process from here on.
The Board of Adjustment, BOA, hears administrative appeals, variances, and conditional use requests. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are like evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because decisions of the BOA relating to variances, conditional uses, and extensions of development order for site plan approval are final, unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue development orders and permits for properties in accordance with the decisions of the BOA. However, if applicant requests the issuance of any such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued, the applicant, and not the county, shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside, the development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from a decision of the BOA for said actions, or any aggrieved party as defined by state law, may seek review of such decision by filing an appropriate pleading in a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies an application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may, within 15 days thereafter, apply to the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding a particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of the board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You will not be allowed to speak until we receive one of these completed request to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for public record.
We now turn to ex parte communications. All written or oral communications outside this hearing with members of the BOA regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be disclosed as provided in Board of County Commissioners Resolution 96-13 before a decision by this board on any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use requests. The chair will ask, as each case is heard, that any board member who has been involved in any ex parte communication regarding the prospective issue to please identify themselves and describe this communication. We now turn to our first case. This is case number V-2024-02-1802, Stout Road, a variance request to allow an accessory structure larger than the primary dwelling, and it is requested by Charles E. and Patricia L. Rudd, owners. Before we ask Mr. and Mrs. Rudd to present their case, first I must ask the board, have there been any ex parte communications regarding this matter to anyone. Let the record reflect that there has been none. Has anyone gained knowledge or information attained from a site visit or other sources? Let the record reflect that there has been none. Is there any board member that intends to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none, let the record reflect there are no voting conflict of interest identified. Would the individuals who are the party to this item please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record so that you can be sworn in by the clerk. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir, and how are you?
All right, sir.
Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Could you?
Okay, my name's Charles Rudd.
Yes, sir. Could
And,
you please stand and face the clerk and raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead and state your address for the record.
It's 1802 Stout Road, Pensacola, Florida.
No, it's Kim.
Oh, Cantonment. I'm close.
Sir, have you been provided with a copy of the criteria required to obtain the conditional use or the variance in this question, in this matter, and a copy of the findings of fact provided by the staff?
Yes, I have.
And sir, have you read those documents?
Yes,
And you do understand that all criteria must be met in order for the board to grant an application such as that you have made.
yes.
Do you understand those
Yes.
points? Thank you, sir. Sir, you can, if you would like to make some opening remarks, the board would be happy to hear those. Or if you would like for the staff to go ahead and present their findings, and then after that, make any remarks that you wish, we would be happy to accommodate you either way.
I'll just let them make their statements, and then I'll go from there.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, sir?
All right. We can now hear from our staff.
Good morning, Board. Andrew Holmer, Escambia County Development Services. This is variance case V 2024-02. Here we have our location map. As you can see, it is due south of the intersection of Highway 29 and Highway 196.
Yes?
The zoning on site is rural mixed use. Future land use for the site is rural community. This is an aerial map of the site. As you can see, it's large. It's a 18-acre parcel, and it's heavily wooded as opposed to some of the others in the immediate vicinity. This is a public hearing sign posted on site. This is looking west along Stout Road. Where the property the sign is on is the subject property, and as you can see, it's hard to see into it from the road with the vegetation. And this is looking east along Stout Road towards Highway 29. Okay, as to the staff findings. So in the Land Development Code, we do have a section for accessory structures and uses. There's limitations on the size of accessory structures. And in this case, the section we're dealing with is for parcels that are greater than 5 acres. For a lot that's greater than 5 acres, no individual accessory structure may exceed the size of the principal dwelling. Structures larger than the limits established shall require variance approval from the BOA, so here we are. As to criterion 1, special circumstances peculiar to the property. This is a large, heavily wooded, 18 plus or minus acre parcel. The size of the parcel is 3 times the minimum size needed to request this variance. The scale of the requested structure is fitting for a parcel of this size and the wooded nature. Special conditions and circumstances not resulting from the actions of the applicant. The special conditions and circumstances of this request are not a result of the actions of the applicant. Third criteria, this is, will granting this variance as requested confer a special privilege denied to others? And given the size and nature of the parcel, granting a variance would not confer the applicant any special privilege denied to other lands. Criterion 4, strict application of the LDC would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. And due to the circumstances on the land, strict application of the LDC provisions would create an undue hardship. Criterion 5, the variance requested is suitable given the size of the parcel. Criterion 6, granting this request would be consistent with the general intent and purpose of the Land Development Code and would not be injurious to the area or otherwise detrimental to public welfare. As to the recommendation, staff recommends approval of the variance as submitted. This is a pretty straightforward issue from staff's perspective.
Sir, would you like to explain what you propose here?
The use of the property, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What, I like to work on old hot rods. And the reason we bought the 18 acres was because it was heavily wooded, and I can kind of hide my building behind my house, because when you drive up to my home, I don't want you to see old cars in my front yard. So I want to put them out in the woods and kind of hide them a little bit. And then the size of the building, where I'm at right now in my business, our business has grown so much that we need the extra space. So we want to build another building to move out of there to give my business the room to grow into that. Other than that, that's it.
Board, do we have questions for the applicant?
What are we talking as far as the size differential, his house versus this structure?
That's, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the garage you're proposing,
Yes,
I don't have anything showing it and the requested size, just that it's larger.
it'll be 6,000 square feet.
Okay. So the property appraiser has the total square footage for the primary at 3,359 square feet, and he wants to go to 6,000, so larger than the principal.
Yeah, twice as big.
Twice as big, yes, sir.
And sir, will your garage, it will be a garage, I presume you will have power.
Yes,
If I remember the reading this file last night, you were going to use solar power?
no solar power.
Oh, okay, well, must be the one. There's another one down the road
Oh,
from
no.
this one. So you'll have power and water
Yep.
and, will you have any living accommodations in it?
I guess not. What would you consider living stuff?
For a
There'll be a
bedroom, that sort of thing?
There'll be bathrooms,
Okay,
Yeah.
but no bedroom
no
type?
bedrooms, no kitchens. Not unless she runs me off.
Yeah,
I might have to live there.
all right, yeah. Do we have any more?
I have one. Is this a business or is this
Oh, it's
building
Personal, no.
personal?
no,
Okay, thank
no.
you.
No, I've already got a business. I'm trying to get away from that.
Is your business located where you're on this parcel also?
Oh,
Or,
no, sir, my business is on 10 Mile Road.
oh, okay,
It's Rudd and Son Welding on 10 Mile Road.
yes, sir.
We used to be right here on E Street on E and Hayes, Rudd Welding, by where the old watermelon man sets up.
Yeah,
That's where I grew up at,
yeah.
so.
Do we have any more questions for Mr. Rudd? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rudd. Does the staff have any questions for Mr. Rudd?
No, sir.
Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to speak? And if we do, it would be necessary, we would ask you to fill out a blue form if you have not. Seeing no one. Would staff like to make a closing statement?
Just that this is a straightforward case, as far as we see it. A logical case for a variance.
Board, now it's time for us to discuss the matter. Is there any discussion from the board? Any? All right, then we now are at the point where the chair will now entertain a motion regarding V 2024-02. And with your motion, please state whether or not you adopt the staff's findings of fact as presented by the staff. If for any reason you do not accept the findings, please go through all the criteria and address specifically why you don't concur. Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of findings of fact by the staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of this application, please raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that this petition was granted unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We now turn to our second case, another variance. This is case number V 2024-03, 313 Southeast Cache Road. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's a variance requested to reduce the side yard setback requested by Daniel Burke and Kayla Burke owners. Have there been any ex parte communications regarding this matter? Does anyone have obtained information or knowledge from a site visit or other sources? Let the record reflect the answers to these questions so far have been in the negative. Ask if any board member intends to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest. Let the record reflect that there is no voting conflict of interest by the individual board members. With the individuals who are the party to this item, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record so you might be sworn in.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning, sir. Could
Um,
you please face the clerk and
yes, sir.
raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Daniel Burke, 313 Southeast Kalosh Road, Pensacola, Florida.
Good morning, sir.
Good
We're
morning,
glad
sir.
to have you with us today. Would you like to make a presentation, or would you prefer that the staff make their findings and then you would be able to make any additional remarks that you wish?
I'll let the staff share their findings, and then I'm happy to talk after that.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Christina Smith, the urban planner. This is for case variance 2024-03. And this is first the location maps showing the subject parcel. This is the zoning radius. And then this is a future land use map. And then this is an aerial, so the addition, the variance they're requesting is, if you're looking at the front of the house, is to the left. They're requesting a 5-foot variance, and then you can see the 15-foot alleyway between that and the neighboring parcel, and then it also is in the back. And you can see the front of the parcel is 127 feet wide, and the back, what does it say? It's 29 feet wide, so it's significantly smaller in the back.
And if I could, I'm sorry. Throughout Navy Point, we have these alleyways, and if you follow the alleyway up along the side of the property and start going north, you see it widens out. Those alleyways are varying widths between all the blocks in Navy Point, and those are open to the public, and the county intends for those to remain so.
If I'm not mistaken, Andrew, these alleyways also have been the subject of recent litigation on that very point. Is that right?
And we wish for them to remain open, yes, sir.
Okay. I thought that
And
was the case.
That's, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's a copy of the public hearing sign posted on the parcel. This is looking at the subject property. This is looking east side of the property. And this is looking west, on the west side of the property, that's where the addition would be. And then this is looking at the rear side of the property, down the alleyway. And this is looking at the alleyway in the rear of the house. And that concludes the photography. So this requested variance is to reduce the required side yard setback from 12.7 to 5 for the construction of addition to the single-family dwelling. For criteria, special conditions and circumstances, the parcel in question is unique in shape. The width of the right-of-way is 119 feet, with the rear width only being 29 feet. The parcel has a 15-foot alleyway along the west side of the parcel. This narrowing causes a practical hardship in the design necessary to accommodate the changes proposed. There are also several oak trees, a septic tank, and power meter box that restrict the location of the addition. If granted, the 5-yard setback would be 20 feet from any neighboring property lines because of the alleyway. For special conditions and circumstances not a result from the actions of the applicant, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant and are existing hardships based on the parcel. Regarding granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privileges that is denied by other owners. The granting of this variance request will not confer any special privileges denied by the LDC to other lands or structures within the same zoning district. Regarding criteria 4, strict application of the provisions of the Land Development Code would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the Land Development Code, and would create an unnecessary and unique safety hardship of the applicant and the citizens. regarding criterion 5. The variance requested is the minimum necessary to make possible the use of the property given the unique shape of the property. And if granted, the variance will be consistent with the intent and purpose of the LDC. Staff recommends approval of the requested as submitted.
Mr. Burke, would you like to make some additional comments and explain exactly what you had in mind?
Yes, sir. It's a simple drawing of what it would look like because of the septic tank and the power plant and the trees. It makes the most sense to go on the side of the house, or necessary to go on the side of the house. That the home is only a one bathroom, and we would like to make a second. And we agree with all the staff findings.
Board members, do we have any questions for Mr. Burke or for the staff?
What's the size of your home right now?
The size is 1,149 square feet.
And you're requesting how big of an addition?
It would be 225 square feet.
And my understanding is that includes another bedroom as well as a bathroom?
Yes, ma'am.
What age of the house? What's the age of the house?
It was built in 1944.
This work, will it be done by a contractor or by yourself?
Contractor.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for,
I have a question for staff. The 12 and a half feet side variance, how is that determined?
You mean the 12.7, so the side yard setback is 10% of the lot width at the right-of-way. And since that's 127 feet at the right-of-way, that's where the 12.7 comes from.
Okay.
any additional questions?
Oh, I just wanted to add an additional note. Given that this isn't a flood zone, the applicant has had initial discussion already with our county floodplain manager about anything that would need to be done regarding the addition on that. Sometimes that's a hang-up, so he's already spoken with the floodplain manager.
Forrest would like to say something. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do affirm.
Thank you.
And I'm glad, thank you for the commentary, Mr. Godwin, earlier, and I'm glad Mr. Drew Homer, the Deputy Director, stated that emphatically that the alleys, if it is approved, the alleys will remain open even during the construction phase of the project. That he's got, and it's his responsibility to make sure they remain open and that they can have ingress and egress at all times during the construction as well, although hopefully no one will be walking down the alley while construction is going on. But the purpose of the alley is to remain open to the public so they can have ingress and egress. And also, even with even as Drew stated, with the shape of the lot and with the trees on the lot, I believe that you're going to try to preserve as many of those trees as you possibly can. Those are good things. Those are nice oaks in there, and to preserve those is to protect those is very, very good. So I'm glad Mr. Drew stated what he stated about the alleys, and you can see the trees that are there on the lot. So hopefully this will be granted.
Do we have any additional questions from the board to the staff or to Mr. Burke? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Burke. We have two speakers. We have Mrs. Burke. If you would like to speak, we'd be very happy to hear from you. If not, we understand you're very much in favor.
I'm in favor. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. And then we also have with us Mr. William Norvell, 314 Southeast Kalash Road, and he has signed up to speak.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address, please.
William Norvell, 314 Southeast Kalash. I live across the street and have lived, the family's owned the house across the street for 30 years. I've lived in Navy Point for 50 years. And not that it's germane to your guys' decision, but I think it's going to be a good addition for the neighborhood. And a rising tide lifts all boats. So it's a good thing. It's not going to interfere with anybody's view, which in our neighborhood, that's a big deal. But, and knowing Horace and the situation with alleys, I'm trying to convince the county commissioners to deed the alleys back to us. But that's its own hornet's nest with people that have had access to, because one of my neighbors has had access to the alley for 50 plus years. And just by giving me the alley back doesn't mean I can put a fence on it and stuff like that. So I'm trying to argue that the county doesn't need to maintain it. I don't mow all the alleys in Navy Point, but I mow a good number of them just because Roads and Bridges has got enough things to do besides mowing. But knowing this, because it's directly across the street from my house, I think it's going to be an awesome thing. And that alley really doesn't get used. I mean, Florida Power and Light probably uses it more than anything, and some people egress through it and stuff. But I think it's a good thing, so.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Do we have any closing remarks from the staff or from Mr. Burke? I think we're at that point. We seeing none. Board, does the board have any comments about this petition? Seeing none, I will say it seems to be a reasonable thing to do, and given the circumstances of the placement of the home and the various obstacles that are around it, and I'm sure that these older homes, this sort of addition will certainly help families. And as I said, it seems to make sense to me. Given that, we now come to the point where the chair will now entertain a motion regarding V 2024-03, and with your motion, please state whether or not you adopt the staff's findings of fact as presented by the staff. If for any reason you don't, then you should go through all the criteria and address each one specifically that you do not confer with. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the staff recommendation.
We have a motion to accept the staff recommendation. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion before voting? Seeing none. Everyone that is in favor of this application, please raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that this application was approved unanimously. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being with us today. And good luck on your improvement. We turn to our next case. Case number CU 2024-13, 507 Timber Ridge Drive, a conditional use request to allow an accessory structure in the front yard of a waterfront property requested by Charles R. Courier and Villa S. Courier, owners.
Good day, honorable members.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Vimla Korea, 507 Timber Ridge Drive.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Vimla Korea,
Thank you.
507 Timber Ridge Drive,
Thank you, ma'am.
Pensacola.
All right. We'll ask the board 3 questions, and then we will commence with your application, ma'am, your petition.
Yes, sir.
Have there been any ex parte communications regarding this case? Seeing none. Knowledge or information obtained from a site visit or other sources? Seeing none. Is there any board member that intends to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. All right, ma'am. We appreciate you being with us today. Have you been provided with a copy of the criteria required to obtain a conditional use and a copy of the staff's findings of fact?
I have, yes, sir.
Have you read them, ma'am?
I have, yes, sir.
And you understand that in order for your petition to be granted, that you must fulfill all the requirements before the board could grant a conditional use.
Understood, yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Would you like to make a short presentation, or would you prefer the staff to go ahead and present their findings?
Yes, please, the staff.
Okay, all right. And
Okay, good morning, Board. Allison Lindsay, Development Services.
yes, ma'am.
So this is a conditional use case, CU 2024-13. This is a location map showing the property in question. This is the 500-foot radius map showing that the zoning is LDR. This is the future land use map showing mixed-use suburban. And this is the location map of the site. This is the public hearing sign that was posted on site. And this is looking northwest onto the subject property from Timber Ridge Drive. Looking northwest onto the subject property. Looking northwest onto the property. And that's all the maps and photography. So this conditional use case is asking for the approval to locate an accessory structure in the front yard of a waterfront property. And in the Land Development Code section, there's a waterfront, on waterfront lots, accessory structures may be located in the front yard of a waterfront lot if the structure are at least 60 feet from the front lot line and granted conditional use approval by the BOA. For criteria A, general compatibility. This is a deep 453 feet plus or minus on the south side. The north side is approximately 315 plus or minus. And the front, on the north side fronting the Timber Ridge. The proposal calls for an accessory structure to be built with a minimum of 60 feet from the right-of-way and would be compatible with similar properties in the area. For criteria B, for facilities and services, there's no facilities or services that will be used for this accessory structure. On-site circulation for the ingress and egress. The site plan submitted for this case shows no new driveway connections to the Timber Ridge Drive. The property owner may use internal access within the property to access the proposed building or contact the access management if they wanted to get a new driveway. Criteria D, nuisances and hazards. The proposed use shall not generate unreasonable noise, glare, dust, smoke, odor, vibration, electrical interference, or other nuisances or hazards for the adjoining properties or other properties in the immediate area. Criteria E, solid waste. The proposed home currently has solid waste and will continue to do so. Criteria F, screening and buffering. Screening and buffering between like uses, in this case, single families, do not require screening according to the Land Development Code. Criteria G, signs and lighting. The lighting will be residential and no signs are proposed. Criteria H, site characteristics. The parcel is spatially adequate to allow for the home and also the detached structure. Criteria I, use requirements. A specific use requirement for this case is that the proposed structure needs to be set back at least 60 feet from the right-of-way, and this proposal does meet that requirement. And the staff recommends that the board approve the proposed conditional use as requested.
Ma'am, could you tell us what you have proposed here?
It's for garage, shed, workshop, 3 strikes.
I'm sorry,
I said the purpose is exclusively actually for a garage, but
Oh,
it's
a
also going to
garage.
be used as a shed and a workshop.
And will it have, was it your application that stated that you'll be using solar power?
Yes, sir.
I knew I'd read that. I'm old, but I
You still got it.
yeah, I did get it right somewhere. And exactly what will it, keep your vehicles in it?
We've got 3 vehicles, and my husband is a Harley guy. We've got 4 Harleys, and I've got a little Vun. What do you call it? The little scooter, yeah. So we need to keep that in there because we do a lot of traveling for work, and we've had lots of instances of it being tampered with.
Okay. Board, do you have questions for our applicant? And I guess you will have electric power there. It will be used as a garage. Will it have any kind of living facilities like bedrooms or bathrooms or?
No, sir. It's exclusively for that. We're going to be using solar and battery-operated stuff in there, so we do not intend to do anything electrical.
Okay, and you won't have bedrooms or?
No.
Anything like that?
Nothing like that, no.
Okay, board members, any questions? All right. Staff, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. We have no speakers, let the record reflect on this matter other than the applicant. Board members, we are now reaching the point where we will consider this particular application. Ma'am, do you have anything else to say before we get?
I think I've said it all, but if you have questions for me, you can ask.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Board members, we now will entertain a motion regarding item CU 2024-13. With your motion, please state whether or not you adopt the staff's findings of fact. If you do not, then of course you need to identify all the criteria and the reasons why you do not. Do I hear a motion?
I move we accept the staff recommendations.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of this particular application, please raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that the application was approved unanimously by the board.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being with us today.
Can I celebrate? I got you some chocolates.
All right. Okay, board members, we're now getting towards the end. Is there any legal things that we need to know?
No.
Oh, good. Okay, we're good there. Andrew, what about coming attractions?
I'm gonna turn that over to Miss Rachel. She can tell you all about it.
The next meeting in July will, so far just has 2 cases. One case that you've already heard is coming back, with a similar as this one, and then a restaurant.
I'm sorry, a what?
A restaurant.
A restaurant. Okay, we shall look forward,
No burrow pits.
yeah, with great anticipation. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much, and this meeting is adjourned. Oh, well, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate